All righty, let's move on to the Buffalo Bulls at Northern Illinois Huskies. We've already had Dennis Garcia move on these Bulls. Dennis got in at -10. Buffalo opens up at -9 on the road. That's moved to -11 right now. The Cobb, Illinois, 58 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 11 miles per hour. Buffalo finished 8-5 last season and are the favorites to win the MAC. In September, they had 19 players test positive for COVID. They've all returned. They're all healthy. The offense revolves around running back Jarrett Patterson. So he made school history rushing for 1,000 yards in a season as a freshman in 2018. Followed that up by breaking the single-season school record last year as a sophomore. 1,799 yards and 19 touchdowns, named a 2020 preseason All-American. Offensive line lost 3 starters to graduation. Kyle Van Trees will start at quarterback. He took over midway through last year. With him, they went 6-2. He threw for 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, also had 6 rushing touchdowns. Huskies have low expectations this year. Last year, they finished 5-7, lost most of their starters to transfers and graduation. Senior quarterback Ross Bowers, coming off a season in which he completed 57.8%, threw for 2,130 yards and 7 touchdowns. Jordan Nettles, who was expected to be their starting running back, left the school. And listen to this, 62 freshmen on the roster. 16 seniors, 14 juniors, 62 freshmen. Are they just going to get blown out? John Ryan, what do you make of these Huskies, and what do you make of this 11-point road favorite in the Bulls?
Well, here again, I think the Northern Illinois Huskies are a team that had a really good branded name for the last 5 seasons. However, the last 2, they've been a steady decline in their performance in the MAC. And now, as you said, they're very, very young, and it's a rebuilding program, but that may not be reflected in the lines just yet. Buffalo returns 15 starters overall, 8 on offense. And one of the other things I dig in after just identifying the returning starters, well, how well did they do last year, and how many of the yards did they account for? And we find out that the returning starters on Buffalo accounted for 77% of the offensive production. And on defense, it was 58% of the production. So those are pretty good numbers. And being on the road, you're always a little hesitant in the MAC. Those are the type of games you bet them, and then I would never recommend betting the live game lines, because these games are so volatile. It's like watching almost like a hoops game, where you have these runs of 3 touchdowns in a row, and then the other team scores 3. And back and forth the whole time. Don't get me wrong; they're very exciting to watch, but they can make you a little bit nervous too. So in this case, I don't see any reason or any problem laying the wood on the road with Buffalo.
Laying the wood, says John Ryan. Let's go over to our Noli Knows Bulls Huskies.
I mean, yeah, you look what Buffalo did last year. They were excellent down the stretch, and the big reason for it was their defense. Their defense held teams under 3 touchdowns in 5 of their final 6 games, and going heavily to the run. You look at their running back Jarrett Patterson finished 5th in the FBS in rushing yards last season. They kind of changed their game plan, and even when they went to their quarterback, when their quarterback took over, 6-2 record in his 8 starts. But they do lose a couple key pieces in the offensive line that can be concerning. But going against this Northern Illinois team that hasn't looked good and looked to be rebuilding all over again, I think that's a tough ask for a team that's a little bit more established on the other side with Buffalo, and being the fact that their defense is expected, they're returning a lot of their defense coming back. Key pieces of their defensive ends are really the key things to getting the pressure on the quarterback. And I think the defense is going to be too much in this game, and maybe pitch a shutout or keep them real low. So I might be looking for an NIU team total under, but some that I haven't looked into too deeply, but because it's not really an angle I play, the team totals, but I might mess around with that.
Interesting take, team total under for NIU. Let's move over to Connor Mack, Bulls, Huskies.
Yeah, Buffalo's the better team. They had tons of players have COVID like a month ago. They're all fresh, ready to go. The offense runs through Patterson. I think he'll have a big day, and they got a pretty solid defense compared to NIU, like you guys have already talked about, really inexperienced, a lot of young guys. I think they're a little bit on the down. downslide here. I lay it, and it's already gone up to 11, as you've seen. I think it goes up more and more. So if you like the Bulls here, jump on it now.
Get it now. Agreed.